was like to live on a prairie many years ago.
Do you mean like the prairie in Kansas?
Yes, or any of those places where the grass grows tall, the summers are hot, and the winters are cold.
Many years ago? Do you mean before we had compact disc players?
Long before that.
Do you mean before we had televisions?
Before we had cars and electricity?
Yes, let's go back that far.
What do you think life was like back then?
I think life would have been hard without cars and electricity.
I think they had to do strenuous work all the time.
And with no electricity, people used candles or lanterns to read.
No one had power for a computer or a television or even a radio.
None of those things were invented yet.
I guess people had to be very self-sufficient.
They did have horses, cows, and chickens.
They probably only had those animals if they had the money to buy them.
Yes, but they had plenty of room to keep animals if they could afford to buy them.
That's true. People who lived on the prairies probably had a lot of open spaces and available land.
I wonder what the kids did back then for fun.
They had no video games, no movies, no skateboards. What did they do?
I think that the children played outside.
I also think that they had chores to do.
Maybe they swam in a creek or a pond or played in a barn.
I think it would have been fun to live back then.
I don't. I think it sounds hard.
I think children had one or two outfits. I bet they were always either hot or cold, and probably no friends lived close by.
Well, I guess it doesn't really sound like that much fun.
Still, I think I would have loved living in the open, growing my own crops, and living off the land.
What do you mean by living off the land?
People had to hunt for supper or grow crops for food.
You could not just go to the store and buy meat for supper.
You had to hunt or fish.
No one had refrigerators or freezers to keep the meat cold, so I guess that means they had to hunt all the time.
Maybe they didn't eat meat all the time.
Maybe that's why people sometimes raised chickens so they could have eggs when they wanted.
And if they didn't have any luck hunting, they could eat their chickens.
Yuck! That's gross.
What's so gross about it? Don't you eat chicken now?
Yes, but the chicken comes ready to cook. I don't have to kill it first and pluck the feathers.
I guess there are many differences between the way we live today and the way people lived on the prairie so many years ago.
Yes, it sounds like some differences were good and some were bad.
But no matter how you look at it, living on the prairie that many years ago would have been a challenge for sure.
No electricity?
Things weren't invented.
People had to hunt when they were hungry.
No school. No malls.
No transportation.
Fire is common.
Old homes.